Hi, my name is Hannah, and today I'm going to be talking about how I started my small art business, BearBeretStudio. I'll start off by saying that this is by no means my full-time job. I do work a regular 9 to 5, and this is still something that I just kind of do on the side. However, I have been able to make a little bit of extra money from this, and it has been able to pay for itself as a business, which honestly is really exciting, and I'm so glad that I've been able to get to this point. So my first tip, as cliche as it sounds, is to literally just start. I know that some artists like to build a bit of a following before they make an art shop, and sometimes they'll even launch on their own website, but I feel like as much as this works for some artists, I think if you're just starting out, it's probably not going to be the best way for you to get your products seen. This is why I started on Etsy. From my experience, Etsy is a pretty good way for you to get your art seen if you're just starting out and you don't have much of an established following. Back in January 2023, I uploaded 2 listings to Etsy, and at this time I was kind of just setting up my shop for fun and just doing it as a little bit of an experiment just to kind of see what it was like, because I'd always wanted to make an Etsy art shop, but I always thought, oh, I need to have like a huge following first, or I need to be able to like advertise myself. But I literally just put 2 listings on. I didn't advertise it anywhere. I just left them and honestly kind of forgot about them for a while. It wasn't until March of 2023 that I made my first sale, and I was honestly so surprised and so excited. My first ever sale was this clay keychain of Maple from Animal Crossing, and I still remember how exciting it was to get that email saying that I made my first sale. And this also brings me to my next piece of advice, which is to start small. So as I mentioned before, the first few products that I added to my shop were these handmade clay keychains. The reason for this is because I was able to make them entirely myself from home, and I didn't have to pay for any manufacturing, which usually has a minimum order quantity and it can get quite expensive. To make these keychains, I actually just used air dry clay that I got from my local craft shop, and it was only about $4 to get like 500 grams, and I was able to buy all of the accessories, beads, all of that kind of stuff from either Amazon and Etsy, and these were also pretty affordable as well. Once I sculpted the clay, I then painted them by hand using acrylic paint pens and added all of the accessories just using some pliers that I had also gotten pretty cheaply online. So once I'd kind of invested in all of these supplies, I was able to make quite a few of these keychains, and it was pretty much my main thing that I was putting on Etsy for a while. Eventually though, I found that making all of these things by hand was quite time consuming, and I wanted to branch out and see what other kind of products I could make. This is when I learned that you don't need a cutting machine to make stickers. To make stickers, I would buy sticker paper that was compatible with my printer from my local office supply shop, and I actually still use the same sticker paper to this day because it's only $5 for 20 sheets, and the quality is honestly pretty good. When I was starting out, I didn't actually laminate my stickers because they already had a glossy finish to them, so for the first couple of months they were actually fine just as they were. Later on though, I discovered the magic of holographic laminate. Since then, I've been using this to protect my stickers a bit more while also giving them this really nice sparkly finish. This was also a bit of a game changer because you don't actually need a laminator to apply this contact paper. You literally just peel off the backing paper and then you can use a ruler to smooth it out on top of your sticker paper. Once my stickers were printed out, I would then use scissors to cut around them by hand, which is very time consuming and it does limit the complexity of your design, but if you're only selling small quantities at the beginning, I would definitely recommend going down this route because it is a lot of money to invest in a cutting machine, and you might not necessarily know what kind of sticker designs that people like, and if that's even necessarily a product that you want to continue making. Another product that I make using a similar technique is actually bookmarks. This is actually one of my best-selling products, and I still use the same technique to make these to this day. All you need to do is find the thickest paper that will go through your printer, so for me that was around 250 GSM. Then print out your design on this paper and contact it with your holographic laminate or a similar clear contact. From here you can cut out the bookmarks with scissors, or I would definitely recommend getting a sliding cutter like this one so that you can get nice straight lines. The last few products I'm going to recommend are are art prints and greeting cards. The great thing about these is that you can easily print them from home, or you can even get them printed at your local print shop or office supply store. There are also a lot of websites that will do this kind of printing for you, such as Vistaprint, but I will say that they often have a higher minimum order quantity, so a lot of the time you'll have to order in bulk of maybe 50 or 100, which when you're starting out can be quite a big investment, especially if you don't know if these prints will sell well or what designs people like. So yeah, if you're starting out, I would definitely recommend trying to print these at home if your printer is good enough. These products are also great because you can sell them for quite a big markup because they're usually quite cheap to print per product, and I find that people often like to have art prints. As you can see, I have quite a few on my wall here, and I think they also make just a really great gift as well. If your shop is not making regular sales, I would absolutely recommend starting small and making these products at home in small quantities if you can, while you learn what people like and what people don't like and things that sell well. This takes me to my next piece of advice, which is to find out what people like. I think if you're an artist making money from your work, it's possible to combine things that you like with things that you think will sell well. Usually I'll browse through Etsy and Pinterest and I'll see what kind of things are popular, what things are inspiring, and I usually try to take inspiration while also creating art that I obviously enjoy and that inspires me. For me, I made a series of tarot card inspired bookmarks, and I found that these designs were often quite popular on Etsy, so I decided to add my own twist by adding little bears to each of the designs so that it was still in the realm of things that people like, but I've also added my own twist to make it more my own and unique to my brand. These bookmarks have by far been my best seller, and they actually inspired me to make a full zodiac series of bookmarks with one design for each star sign, which brings me into another thing to consider as well, especially if you're selling on Etsy, is products that would sell well as gifts. Anything star sign related, for example, has worked really well in my experience, because even if you aren't really into zodiac stuff, I think people still have kind of a kinship with their star sign, and it feels a little bit more personal to receive a gift that's more tailored to you in that way. Also, another thing that has worked really well for me is making matching items that you can buy for a friend. For example, I used to sell these clay pins and I would market them as BFF pins so that you would keep one for yourself and give one to your friend, and these were actually a really popular gift item. Okay, so my last tip is a little bit of a different one, but I would actually 100% recommend selling in person at art markets. I attended my first art market around 6 months after starting my Etsy shop, and honestly I was able to gain so much confidence from that experience because I wasn't getting a lot of traffic to my shop at the time, and I thought maybe people didn't really love my designs that much, but I went to this in-person event and I got to experience people browsing my products and buying things in real time, and this gave me so much more faith in my work, and honestly also gave me a lot more traffic to my shop once I started handing out business cards and people were more aware of my brand. So yeah, there are quite a few things that I could go into about Etsy, but I think if you're just starting out, these are great points to start with. I'm also still relatively new to this whole process. As I said, I've only been doing this for just over a year now, so if you're also an artist running an art business and you have any advice that you want to share, feel free to let me know down below. So now we've reached the part of the video which I'm sure you're pretty curious about, which is how many sales I made in my first year. I'll just preface this by saying that as someone who can get a bit fixated on numbers or how good or bad things are going for my business, it's important to try and not let that take away from the fun aspects of making art. For now, I'm honestly glad that I'm privileged enough to have a steady full-time job that isn't related to my art shop, because it means that I can still keep this as a hobby and it's not something that I'm depending on for a living. I think the main thing that I want to show with these stats is that you don't need to invest a whole heap of money up front in making an art shop, and it can be something that you slowly build over time, even if you don't have an existing following or a whole lot of experience in selling online. So in January and February I made 0 sales, and this is when I opened my shop and only had around 3 products listed. In March I made 2 sales, which was really exciting, but unfortunately I didn't actually have my postage set up properly, so I actually technically lost money for these first 2 sales, but I think I technically still count them as a win. In April, I made 5 sales, and by this time I was starting to branch out and make new products such as stickers and bookmarks. In May, I made 3 sales. In June, I temporarily closed my shop while I was overseas, so I didn't make any sales during this month. Then in July, I made 13 sales, and this was really exciting because this was the month that I attended my very first art market, so I was starting to gain a little bit more traffic. In August, I made 39 sales, which was huge for me, and I really do think that a big part of this was a lot of the exposure that I got from the art market that I attended the month before. And I really think that this is a great way to boost your business that isn't just posting on Instagram or trying to build a following that way, because I think it can be a little disheartening to be just focusing purely on online advertising. In September and October, I made 22 sales in both months. Finally, in November, I made 64 sales just before I closed my shop in December for Christmas. So in total for my first year, I made 172 sales, which, to be honest, I did not expect to make this early on, and a part of me wants to say that a lot of it was luck, but I also don't want to discredit all of the hard work that I've put into BearBeret so far. And I also want people to know that even if you think no one's going to buy your art or no one's going to like it, like, you should just post it, you should just share it, just see what people think, because I think you'll be really surprised at how many people actually really do like your art, even if you don't personally have that confidence yet. So that brings me to the end of this video. I'm sure I could go into a lot more depth maybe in a future video, so if there's anything that I've missed or that you want me to talk about more, please let me know down below. Otherwise, I will see you in the next one. Bye!